So Bouffalant Pokemon Sword and Shield is really just a bulky Pokemon overall, 95 health, 95 defense, 95 special defense, with 110 attack. It's actually pretty good. So it's really bulky with a high attack. He has low speed and low special attack, which doesn't really matter if you're a bulky physical Pokemon, because most of them have high defenses but low health, but he has a mix of both. Plus, being normal is really good because you only have one weakness in fighting, and you have immunity to ghost. You have no resistances, but it's kind of a neutral typing, till 99% of things will hit you neutral. If it's not fighting or ghost, it's hitting you neutral. So it's a good switch in, or if you have to bring him in. And his abilities are Reckless, Sap Sipper, and Soundproof. Reckless is really only good if you're running like his signature move, Head Smash, or what is it? Head Charge. Unless you're running Head Charge, and a bunch of moves that do recoil damage. Reckless is pretty good. If not, Reckless, there's no reason to run Reckless. Sap Sipper is really situational because it's only against grass type. So unless you're switching in on something that you know is using a grass type move, like, you're not going to get the boost of Sap Sipper. But Soundproof is actually really good. I would say if you're not running Reckless and recoil move, Soundproof is better than Sap Sipper by far, because you get immunity to a bunch of different moves. Like you get immunity to all these moves like Boom Burst, Bug Buzz, Overdrive from Toxicity. You get, like, you're immune to all of these moves, which is really good, especially this, I can't think of his name now, Kamolo. Especially if you know it's coming, or if you know it's a Noivern or something with a, what is it, throat spray, you can bring him in with Soundproof and just eat up the move and pretty much force him to switch. Or Toxicity, especially because Punk Rock makes sound moves do more, so you're immune to all those moves. But one way to run Bouffalant is to take advantage of just his bulk and attack and Swords Dance, and then 3 offensive moves. Head Charge gets Stab. You take a lot of recoil damage, but it gets the Reckless boost. Close Combat and Earthquake are really good coverage. But he also, the only thing that sucks about Bouffalant is that he has Reckless, but he only has, I think the only other thing that affects Reckless is Wild Charge. So it's like, okay, cool, you have this move, Wild Charge. Again, you can run Wild Charge instead of Close Combat or Earthquake if you want to take full advantage of the Reckless. But I would run Trick Room with this set, because with Reckless and Head Charge, you'll survive. You'll do a ton of damage to them, but you'll take a ton of damage in recoil, so whatever comes in is taking you out. So you have to be really careful about that. But yeah, the only moves he gets that gets a Reckless boost are Wild Charge and Head Charge, which kind of suck. But I would run Trick Room because you're going to take a lot of recoil damage, and that'll pretty much knock you out. You'll take yourself out with it, so you got to be really careful with it, plus the Life Orb. But with Trick Room, you can get 2 KOs with the Swords Dance and either Stab, Head Charge, or Wild Charge. I would probably get rid of Close Combat, though, honestly, if you're going to run Wild Charge, just because you run into an issue of ghost types, like something ghost that resists electric. So like a Golark, for example, would shut you down completely. But something that's ghost and resists electric, if you get rid of Earthquake, shuts you down kind of hard. But another way to run him is Swords Dance, Citrus Berry, and just take a hit. I would run Soundproof. You can run Sap Sipper. Like, between these two, it's up to you. I would run Soundproof most of the time, but if you want the extra chance to get the +1 on a grass type, you can run Sap Sipper. Or if you have something that has like a 4 times weakness to grass, like a not Swampert, but like Quagsire, or I think it's Quagsire. You want to bring in something like that, and then be like, oh, they're using grass and switch in the Bouffalant to get the free boost. You could do that, but pretty much what you want to do is Swords Dance, and then pretty much you want to take a hit and KO them back. So Swords Dance, Citrus Berry procs. If not, you still have it for later. You could also run the 1/4 berries like a Guave if you want to take that risk. But pretty much you Swords Dance, take a hit, you take a hit, or you take a hit, Swords Dance, you take another hit, and then you Body Slam, Revenge, or Payback. Payback will always hit the 100 damage if you want to run Brave too. So you almost always get the Payback. But Payback will almost always have 100 base power because you're so slow. If they hit you with the Revenge, that's 120. That's like a Close Combat minus the defense drop. And Body Slam's just a good 85 power. I would not run Head Smash or Head Charge because of the recoil. I would not run recoil with this. But Facade's also an option if you're worried about getting burned or something. But pretty much you want to take a hit and KO everything. But another way, Bouffalant actually learns Cotton Guard and Amnesia, so you could run something like this and just max out your defense and special defense, rest with Chesto Resto, Soundproof, and Payback. I would not run a Stab normal move. If you run something like this, I would not run a normal move, because if they switch in a Ghost, you literally can't do anything. But you could also just run one or the other. You can run Cotton Guard or just Amnesia and run 2 offensive moves with Rest. Or you could honestly, if you run Cotton Guard and then Citrus Berry or Guava Berry and just 3 offensive moves, because you're going to be so bulky from the Cotton Guard, but you run the risk of them bringing in a special attacker and just shutting you down. But you could, if you do something like this, you could always run in that last spot instead of Payback. Lash Out if you're worried about them lowering your stat. Like if you think they're going to lower your stats, Payback would be good because it's 150. Or if you think they're going to hit you with like moves like Icy Wind or something like that. Maybe not Icy Wind, but something that lowers your stats. Or they try to lower your defense. But Lash Out. You can run Rock Slide. Not Poison. You can pretty much run any move in that last spot that doesn't have an immunity to it. But I like Payback because that had 100 base power. I would not run Close Combat. Well, again, Close Combat has a resistance. Mega Horn has low accuracy. You could run Mega Horn, honestly, but the PP, you'd run into an issue. But I think Payback's the best option for this. Yeah, Payback. I would go with Payback. But a Dynamax Bouffalant, you can do a couple things with Dynamax Bouffalant. I would say Giga Impact, Close Combat, Mega Horn, Earthquake. Normal type moves, you get the Stab. It also lowers your speed. Close Combat, it's fighting. It raises your attack, but you have to be careful because it actually lowers the base power. I think Max Knuckle and Max Sludge cap out at 90 for Dynamax. Mega Horn. I want to say Bug lowers your special attack, and Earthquake raises your... I think Earthquake raises your special defense. But I would say for the most part, run something along these lines. The only thing I would throw in is maybe some rock coverage. Maybe maybe Wild Charge if you want to. Poise Jab's a good option. Iron Head, Throat Chop, Zen Head. But he has pretty coverage. Like if you pretty good coverage. Like if you want the Psychic Terrain, you want the Electric Terrain, you want Poison. It'd also be really in doubles too if you want to set up terrains, because he's so bulky that he's gonna take a couple hits, especially Dynamaxed. But it's pretty much whatever you want to run because he has pretty good coverage. This is the most like damaging one. Maybe Stone. Well, Stone and Genosco have the same power, but this is pretty much the most damaging one, unless you want to run Outrage in there. But pretty much you can run either Assault. Like if you're Trick Room, if you're running Trick Room, I would say you can run a Life Orb and get away with it. But if you want to be more specially bulky, you can run Assault Vest. You can run Citrus Berry. I think a Guava Berry actually would be really good, or one of the 1/4 berries. I think they would be really good too with this because you're so bulky. Unless you're getting hit constantly with double like super fighting moves and doubles, like you can take 2 or 3 super effective hits and get under that 1/4. Like you can take 2 and then get under the 1/4. So Guava Berry, and plus Dynamax, you're getting a lot of health back. So that's a Dynamax. That's Dynamax Bouffalant. But some of the other moves he learned: Skull Bash, raise your defense, hits turns 2. Skull Bash with like a Power Herb. Power Herb would work if you want to get that special defense raise. Also, yeah, Soundproof Soundproof on everything unless you're gonna try to get that Sap Sipper boost unless you're gonna try to switch it on the grass type move. I would run Soundproof. But Iron Head, Poison Jab, Rock Slide, he gets pretty good coverage with his moves. Like high horsepower and doubles if you don't want to run Earthquake. Outrage is decent. Stone Edge, like Throat Chop's a really good move. He's slower, so he doesn't really get the sound. Like he doesn't really need this sound-based move thing. Like he doesn't need that. They can't use it. It's like, okay, I'm soundproof anyway. It doesn't really affect him. Zen Headbutt's pretty good, but for the most part, that's pretty Assurance. I mean, Assurance is. I would run Payback versus Assurance. Assurance is slightly more, but you'd have to. Assurance is really good though if you use like Rock Slide or something like that to hit the other opponent. But Retaliate's actually really good because he's normal. If you bring him in with like a Retaliate, because it's 140 base power, 110 attack. Retaliate's actually really good if you switch in on it. Smart Strike if you don't want to deal with accuracy while Dynamaxed. But that's how to use Bouffalant in Pokemon Sword and Shield.